Camera's on, microphone's on, the lights are on. Let's get this party started. My name is Bryce Rayan. I'm 20.
My name is Bryce Rayan. I'm 21 years old.
My name is Bryce Rayan. I'm 22 years old. I am an actor and a music artist.
I am still an actor and I'm still an artist.
I'm a music artist, actor, and I've been doing a lot of side quests with modeling, writing, etc.
It is currently March 10th, 2024.
It is March 10th,
2025.
It is March 10th, 2026.
Kind of all over the place.
Generally, I feel fine. A little tired.
I do feel better about myself, more relaxed in the moment, a little bit carefree. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit caffeinated.
I'm caffeinated as well, so I'm a little bit jittery. It feels like my mind is a little bit all over the place, but it also feels hyper-focused, so I don't know. We'll see how this one goes.
It was 2 Coke Zeros, 1 Monster drink, and water.
1 cup of Cafe Bustelo with some agave and some lactose-free milk, 1 can of Dr. Pepper Zero blackberry flavor, and water. I drank 1 cup of Cafe Bustelo and 1 little C4 guava flavor, 2 pesto and feta cheese pizza slices, and shrimp fried rice. Vegan tikka masala from Trader Joe's and some salted almonds. 1 barbell protein bar.
I was born in Krasnodar, Russia, and I lived quite a bit in Sochi. I was really ashamed for very valid reasons to say that I was from Russia, that I was from that part of the world. I cannot change the fact of where I was born and where I've lived for a good chunk of my childhood.
Although I can say there's a lot of dissonance with my personal identity and that place. Important lore update about myself. So it was fairly long ago, but I did an ancestry test with 23andMe, and prior to that it was fairly ambiguous about my ancestry, saying more like generally Eastern European, Russian, Ukrainian, Polish. However, it did have an update to my data, and it revealed that I am actually 82% Belarusian, Polish, and Ukrainian, and only 2.2% Russian. And I'm also 14% Northern West Asian, meaning like Armenian, Azeri, Georgian. And when I found out about this information, I felt a complex bouquet of feelings. It felt kind of surprising, but in a good way. It felt affirming in a way that somewhere deep down I knew that I'm not just like vaguely Eastern European and there is more of a concrete place where I'm from and where my ancestry is, and knowing exactly that is not like Russian or Polish. Certainly, even though I was born in Russia, but that's not where my ancestors came from. I also started to feel a lot of grief because I was surrounded mainly with Russian culture growing up and not really being like about Russian culture, but also growing up with Ukrainian culture at home, but not to the same extent that it could have been. And given this information, I started to ask my family, what is my ancestry like? What is my cultural heritage like? And the information that I found out about my great-grandmother on my father's side, who was born in the Ukrainian city of Poltava. And then from Poltava, because of the World War and concentration camps, her and my great-grandfather migrated more and more eastward towards Russia. And it's a similar story on my mother's side, but it gets a little bit muddy, where they were born in southern Ukraine and then moved more and more eastward until they reached Russia. But then I found out that all of the traditions, language, and all of the other things associated with Ukrainian culture got kind of diluted with my parents. That because they were living in Russia, they kind of did not necessarily see the need to explicitly teach me those things. So right now I'm in this like awkward position where I am Ukrainian, but I don't know a lot about the Ukrainian language, though I've spoken it when I was younger as far as I'm aware. And I may not be as much in touch with the Ukrainian culture and customs and traditions and history as an average Ukrainian person who grew up and was born in Ukraine would. And given all of this cake of awkwardness, add another layer of literal war, but I still feel very motivated to reconnect with this part of myself and this part of my cultural heritage, and to bring it back into my life, start learning Ukrainian, start learning about Ukrainian history, connect with more Ukrainian people, and for all of that to become a relevant part of my life. Even though that it may be awkward and it may be difficult, but I am willing to do this leap of faith to reestablish this connection and see how it goes.
Right now, we have 742 followers with 36.1k likes.
926 followers and 50.7k likes.
926 followers.
On Instagram, it's 1036 followers. And it's funny because now I have the similar number on my TikTok as I had on my Instagram a year ago.
388.
And on YouTube, we have 487. Great.
The release of my first comeback EP. I got into an honor society and I recently played Songwriters Club gig. I was in a feature film. I released my sophomore EP and I'm also about to graduate college. I was in a play as a lead and, well, damn, I got married.
I released my third EP with the Sound Alike Even More. I've talked about it a lot on the end of the year video. And I was also a part of an LGBTQ plus USC student film, which was amazing as well. But I think my most recent achievement is that now I have a manager. I got signed with a management company focusing on actors, so there's gonna be a lot of work to do. Oh, and I also got my driver's learning permit. Now I need to actually get a driver's license, and then I need to buy a car.
Closing of the place called Ground Zero on USC campus. A good 200 people. Birthday a year ago. Bryce Ray and fucking Dies show. I'm looking forward to putting something else this year.
I only played a few shows last year, 2 of them being on Michael Giovanni's tour. There weren't quite a lot of people, but it was a decent amount, and I enjoyed performing there as well.
I think a lot of my peers inspire me. You know, I've been into hyperpop, and I made a very strong pivot in my music to be more electronic, deviating from like being indie rock.
We are back to indie pop and indie rock. What I said before was very interesting. I believe what I felt about hyperpop was true, and I really did enjoy making those kind of tracks. It just did not feel like I was putting my best foot forward, and that sound did not necessarily resonate with me fully and translated my essence fully in terms of my best abilities and why I make music in the first place. And I also started to look back a lot in terms of the music that I liked, which was a lot of new wave music. Duran Duran, The Cure, Generation X, Joy Division, New Order, Tears for Fears, you name it, but also newer artists like Caroline Polachek, The 1975, Harry Styles, Hemlock Springs, Ethel Cain, where the lyrics are more focused on the self-exploration or being yourself in the world and being a little bit more poppier, a little bit mellowed down, and a little bit funny, kind of ironic in places, with a lot of great and rich imagery, which kind of checks all of the boxes with these artists that I've listed.
I receive all of these like cool comments sometimes on the post. TikToks like lip syncing to my song or just using my song in their videos. The best interactions that I've received were like actually IRL saying how much they love my stuff. But I also received death threats. As one would say, it's the best of both worlds.
Prior, when I scrolled TikTok or Instagram, I did not necessarily engage a lot in the comment section and mainly just like liked posts. I mean, I would comment sometimes, but not as frequently as I do now. And especially on TikTok with small creators who receive like similarly to me about like 20, 30, 50 likes per post. Just to comment something positive and connect with the other person gets you a long way, and maybe even a mutual. And you comment on that person's post and they comment on yours, and everyone feels good about the situation, and you feel like you both are growing, well, in a small way, but still supporting each other. And I also started to receive more comments from people who just enjoy my posts and just enjoy what I do, and it feels really good. So yeah, I'm gonna be posting more still.
Not to, well, procrastinate so much. It doesn't have to be perfect all the way through. If it's decent enough, share with people.
There's still this like protective layer that is trying to be like, oh, no, you shouldn't present yourself this way, or like, oh no, maybe like all of this is a mistake, this is kind of embarrassing, this is kind of cringe. But you know, sometimes cringe and embarrassment are inevitable, especially when you are trying new things and exploring new things. So that's like like another one of those feelings I want to make myself comfortable with, because cringe is persistent in art.
I wish I had released this project sooner. Everything was ready by September. I just fucking waited until December. I don't know why. I've prepared a few songs and released them like months in advance, but there were a few songs that I was tweaking like until the very last minute.
I would have aligned myself more with the things that I liked. It feels as though prior to this, I was mainly keeping myself busy for the sake of, well, being busy. And while it makes me feel good to be busy and to do work and feel like I'm always working, it also leads to burnout and also leads to you questioning whether you want to do this work in the first place and whether the work you're doing is worth it. So right now, my main goal is not to focus on the quantity of output, but on the quality of output. Well, depending on the medium, if we're talking about TikToks, maybe not focus as much attention on the quality there, but in terms of my music, in terms of like other endeavors that I'm pursuing, I would rather make sure that the work that I'm putting out is aligned with my values and aligned with how I wanted it to look, and that I'm also having fun and not just doing this kind of work for the sake of doing it and for the sake of appearing busy.
I guess the release of my next project, music videos that I have, and quite a few acting gigs, actually. It's a very exciting time to be alive. It is a very exciting time to be alive, but it's also a very scary time to be alive. I'm graduating college, man, and I'm entering the real world. I have a gig in 3 weeks. I'm also doing like a few other projects, and I'm also preparing for another music drop. So for now, I think it's the clash of like, oh, make your own opportunities, but also just like ride the wave of the things that are like coming towards you and like taking advantage of them. So I think my overall goal right now is just put myself in the best position possible and just be my best self.
It's an exciting time to be alive, but is way scarier than before. As I mentioned prior, I've been side questing a lot. Music and acting are still my priority. Concretely, more about the music, I have a few songs that I really like that I'm working on right now, and I'm planning to release them as soon as possible when I figure out pretty much everything surrounding them. And I also want to expand my interests in the things that I like and the things that I do. I've been very interested in doing modeling or creative modeling or being just like a subject in cool photos, but also making sure that the entire mise-en-scène is cool and vibey. I also started to creative write a few things, a few short things, one long thing, in terms of TV and film. So that's something new that I have not done prior, but I want to learn more, and I'm willing to make mistakes and see how it goes. And I feel similarly about putting myself in the best position possible, but also taking more agency and responsibility in terms of creating those opportunities myself and not waiting for somebody else to allow me to enter those opportunities, but also to be ready when those opportunities from the other people do come.
I am pursuing like a theater major, meeting all of these wonderful, amazing people, wonderful, amazing, creative people. But also, thousands of dollars for education. I think college should be fucking cheaper. Is college worth it? I feel like overall, yes, it is worth it. Education is one of those things that they cannot take away from you. It is an investment in yourself, and it is very much what you take away from it. You need to stay educated somehow. If that brings about structure, if that brings about like actual discipline and routine for you, I am not your financial advisor, but maybe college is worth it.
I do still miss some of the brain stimulation and some of the, kind of like a guided exploration that college allows you to do, and having the structure of classes and having the structure of everything. Oh, you need to wake up at a certain time, you need to be somewhere at a certain time. But even at the same time, it felt like busy work. Why did I do those things when I could have been pursuing like things outside of the university, and I could have been pursuing things that are more, not necessarily concretely associated with theater or performance, maybe something related to fashion, maybe something related to other things that maybe would have broadened my horizons even farther. But at the same time, I feel so much freer not being in college, and I feel like that I have now less constraints to do the things that I liked and being myself, and not having all of these external expectations and all of these pressures of being a college student. And now I get to grow more into the person that I want to be, and not being afraid being the person that I want to be.
Business as usual. making music, doing shows, auditioning, finding like a stable job, auditioning, making music, doing shows.
Post-grad is different for a lot of people. Some people go straight into the job, some people get part-time jobs, some people are just chronically unemployed. For me, as I previously stated, it is important that I keep up with the things that I like and get into the more things that I like. For example, thrifting has become one of the things that I enjoy a lot, and learning more about clothes, learning more about styling, learning more about textures, clothes quality, designs, aesthetics, everything that goes into that world outside of maybe like sewing and actually making clothes. But I'm not gonna limit myself to that and say that I may not be interested in that, because maybe there will be a time and a circumstance where I will have to learn that. But also learning more about photography, being on camera, poses, composition, contrasts, photo editing, retouching, all of that is interesting and is related to things that I've been doing prior, such as like video editing and just doing overall performance. However, it's a little bit different, and it feels like that those two activities are the spaces where I can invite and collaborate with other people right now. And also in terms of writing, I'm a novice in terms of writing prose and writing anything for TV and media. So I have a few friends who are helping me out with it, who are giving me notes to be a better writer, co-writing, while I help other people in the realm of music and sound. Also, as I said prior, I've been interested in modeling, so I've been trying to apply to other modeling agencies and like seek out modeling gigs and print gigs. I am 5'8", so I don't know how well that's gonna go, but I am just doing a Hail Mary here, and we'll see where this one goes. I am not gonna limit myself because, well, I am 5'8" and I cannot do this for some reason. No, I can. I will create those opportunities for myself if other people are not gonna invite me to those opportunities, because I'm curious to learn more, to be in that world and to explore more of that. But in terms of money in the real world, it can be tough out there. Get out more outside. Being outside is so important. Being not in your bedroom, being not at your house, just going out as much as possible while being mindful of your budget, but going out and meeting new people and taking that initiative to be in the places where people who are like you and who have similar interests to you is very important. It's very important not to be antisocial. It's very important to talk to other people. It's very important to reach out to your friends and rekindle those friendships, and maybe having something in common so you have a topic to come back to and to keep up with those friends on a regular basis. I think this is it. Talk to more people, talk to other people, and talk to more like-minded people, because when you're surrounded with people who have the same inertia, who have the same drive, it suddenly becomes kind of easier, and you are more aligned not only with yourself but with the immediate world, with your immediate circumstances. But also still keep up with people who are still in college. Go see those plays, go to those events. Just because you graduated college does not mean that it's fully over. No, there's still people who you might not know, or who you might know, who are still in college. So keep up with them. But don't be a creep.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. Gender studies class, amazing material, a lot of eye-opening stuff, especially me as a man, right? The way I said a man was very funny.
There is a reason for me being so funny about calling myself a man. More specifically, I consider myself non-binary. I use they, he, she, whatever pronouns. I don't care. The only thing I know is that I am not cisgender, and I express my gender in a more my way, in a more quirky way. It still feels a little bit scary to say that out loud because, well, all of the signals were there, all of the flags were there, but I just for some reason was not able to call a spade because I was, well, fearful about acknowledging that or even diving deeper into that. However, when it becomes like a thing that you think about day in and day out, about your gender and how you're perceived and about being a man or about being more femme, it gets very emotionally draining, and it feels like you're kind of living a lie and you're not living as the person that you are, and you're not presenting in the way that you want, and you're getting the impressions that you don't want, and everything feels like just like a layer of lies and confusion. And it also doesn't help that I do feel genuine anxiety because of the, well, terrible changes in this world being non-cisgender. Literally, trans people in Kansas now have their driver's licenses revoked like that. So while I do feel more alignment within myself, it is also a kind of like a thing. Very, yay, but also that's how, that's how being a non-cisgender person in the world is like. So I'm just finding a joy in being more like myself. However, I feel like there's a lot more that I'm not saying about this topic, and I'm still personally am figuring that moment out on my own. Well, who knows, maybe it'll come about next year or even sooner. Thinking about music, thinking about other things that can involve myself, and I don't know, expanding my experiences, expanding things like I'm in, thinking about the world a lot, the state of things, really. The things that have been on my mind a lot are pretty much the things that I've just talked about, mainly in the realm of gender and gender expression, how I feel in my own body, how I feel presentation-wise, and trying to go deeper into the things that I like, but also go broader with the things that I like. What are the things that I do really, really like, and what are the things in life that I don't like at all? But also trying to figure out how liking those things look like for you. Because earlier this year, I tried out vlogging and I liked it for a moment, but I also got really busy with other stuff that took priority for me. It does not mean that I did not enjoy it, but it just became like, okay, I need to edit the video in its entirety and blah, 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 excuse. I still enjoy it, but I need to find a sustainable way of how to do that. Maybe it's not necessarily vlogging and long form vlogging. Maybe it's doing more like influencer short form content. Maybe it's going to be connected not only with music, but it's also going to be connected with fashion and styling and doing photography and doing other creative visual things, and maybe discussing things that are relevant to my life, that are not necessarily demanding with the stuff that I don't particularly care about. I mean, editing videos well is a good skill to have, but I think a better question to have: what things bring the best value and joy into my life, as opposed to just wrapping it in a nice package, but the thing that's hidden within that package may not be as enjoyable in itself, as opposed to countless other possibilities that I may enjoy more. The 1975. It is still the 1975. It is still the 1975, though I've been listening to Harry Styles, Ethel Cain, and Pink Panthers a lot. Feral Canadian Scaredy Cat by Young Friend. Too Bad by Two Hollis. Glitter by Eli. I'm kind of old, but I feel like kind of a kid. I'm kind of missing my teenage years, but I cannot fight time. I would say being my authentic self and being truthful with what I want and what I want to do in life. We don't have a lot of time. And right now my biggest challenge is being more truthful with myself and other people, because I also realized that some of the relationships that I flourished in the past were on the potential of some things happening, but then those things never happened because they were only in the realm of being a potentiality, of a maybe, of maybe sometime that's gonna come around, and then it never does, because in a way it was never gonna happen, because the relationship that I believed that was in my head did not exist in real life, because sometimes you're just not on the same page. But you just need to be truthful whether it's worth investing your time, effort, and money into those relationships that may not have that investment return on a professional relationships, which is also, by the way, side note, maybe it was also a weird way to approach relationships in the first place. But as opposed to that, develop professional relationships where you can both flourish and that both you together become a team and are willing to listen to each other and uplift each other. Whenever people talk about networking, I was always like, because networking as a word feels a little bit fake to me. But actually developing relationships that are gonna go deeper on a spiritual and a professional level, I feel like is more important than the million people that you may not be able to keep up with. One day, or day one. Keep it simple, stupid. Allow yourself to fail and allow yourself to do things. Ever since I was a kid, soccer. My favorite team, Liverpool, having a pretty good season. I am still very much a big soccer fan. I'm still very much a big Liverpool fan. I have really been into journaling. I'm still a Liverpool fan, and we won the title last season, and this season we are not doing so great. I have no control over it, but just riding with the team. Also, I did not say it prior, but I'm also a Zhang Pauli fan, and we were clear of the relegation last season, and hopefully we're gonna be clear of the relegation this season, and we're gonna go only up from there. Knocking on wood. Also, in the realm of sports that I did not mention, I became a very big Formula 1 fan. I've had that interest prior in my life. When I was living in Sochi, I was able to go to a few Formula 1 races during prime Lewis Hamilton era, and also during the era of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg rivalry. So when I was starting to reignite my passion for Formula 1, I was like, let me start following Lando Norris, mainly because of a meme. I know it's kind of stupid, but I was like, oh, Lando Norris, that's a recognizable name, so I'm gonna follow him. And then he won a world championship, and I learned more about McLaren, and I learned more about McLaren's drama and about everything that's going on behind the scenes, and about Oscar Piastri and about Zach Brown. And I am very happy for Lando Norris for winning world championship, but at the same time I had realized that I'm just like, I don't want to be a McLaren fan because I was a Lando Norris fan, but then that kind of got diluted and dissipated, so I'm back to being a Mercedes fan. Yes, I was a Mercedes fan before. So, yeah. Oh, also, makeup and skincare had become one of my other hobbies that I've been into. I've decided to have my own skincare ritual every morning and every night. And I'm also experimenting more with makeup compared to the makeup that I had prior that, you know, was kind of a little bit all over the place and not as put together as it is right now, I think. Now, my facial routines were more of a daily staple. Makeup was not, and I'm trying for it to become a thing. I would rather be whimsical than anything else right now. I don't want to pretend to be cool. I don't want to pretend that I'm swag and tough and whatever. I would like to be whimsical, happy, and yay! But also more in terms of education. I've decided to take acting classes, mainly at Margie Haber's studio, and that's been a lot of fun. I took an acting intensive there and improv classes, and I'm thinking about taking other improv classes at other studios. I've also done some commercial classes, and I've done some co-star classes, and I've been also learning from a lot of online tutorials in terms of music mixing and mastering and songwriting. It's just, you know, doing fun stuff.
People who smoke cigarettes fucking piss me off.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
I saw the TV glow.
I saw the TV glow, but also for the past year I've been watching a lot of TV shows and anime. For example, I'm currently watching Game of Thrones with my friend Thomas, and we are a little bit more than halfway through. And though I know I have not gotten to the end of the series, and I know people have a lot of like negative thoughts about the ending, but so far the journey has been great and the writing has been great, and I've just been so inspired by the entire series so far. It feels like it's something that I definitely missed along the way. Hey, it's Bryce from the future. It's April 10th. It's my birthday and we just finished Game of Thrones. I like the ending. Yeah, I like how Game of Thrones ended. Yeah, I like the last past seasons. Yeah, it was a little bit rushed, but the ending made sense to me. So, yeah. Watch the show, make your own opinions. And/or probably the best Star Wars series or the best Star Wars piece of media that I've ever watched in terms of writing. And that comes with the fact that there were no Jedis, but the dialogue and the lore and the politics and everything about that show just made the world so rich and the characters so interesting. Everybody from Cassian to like maybe fucking side character. I think they're just aspects of the show that movies touch on, but this show is able to go so much deeper on. In terms of anime, don't hate on me. My Hero Academia, first a couple of seasons are slow and kind of cliche, but at some point it really picks up and becomes so exciting, where I have the similar feelings with the Game of Thrones. At first, yeah, it's kind of a lol cliche in the beginning with a lot of like similar tropes, and there are a few characters that I just don't like, for example Mineta. But when you reach the end, spoiler alert by the way here, Deku's vigilante arc, the show really picks up in quality and it becomes so much more interesting. Also, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the best anime ever written, the best anime ever. JoJo has become a staple in my everyday conversations. I'm such a big JoJo enjoyer, and I'm so happy that Steel Ball Run is gonna be released this year because, man, when I watched all of the other parts, the action, the characters. I remember I watched part 1 and part 2 a long time ago when they still used Hamon, and then it kind of lost me when the stands became a thing. But then I watched all of the other seasons. I was like, man, I was missing out. And now it's my favorite anime of all time. Oh, I also watched Attack on Titan. Never mind. I mean, in terms of writing, you gotta give it to Attack on Titan. And in terms of lore, and in terms of like animation, and in terms of characters, you kind of have to give it to Attack on Titan as the best anime series of all time. But JoJo will forever have a soft spot in my heart. Creme brulee or tiramisu. I feel like both, yes, but tiramisu takes this one. Protein bars, yeah, I know it's kind of funny. Not necessarily a dessert, but it's the best sweet treat for me. I specifically enjoy barbells and Alani protein bars. Those are usually the best in terms of texture and flavor. But in terms of traditional desserts, yeah, tiramisu. Realizing that maturing and growing up is good, because if in a year from now I just don't cringe at myself, I'm gonna be kind of disappointed. Prioritize yourself, your needs, and what you want to do in life and what you do with your life, for we live in imperfect times and for we are imperfect. Some things are okay to let go of, that especially the things that do not serve your mission and do not serve you. Some things can be relationships, concepts, and beliefs that you've had. Some things were even the value systems that you've had. Some things even the comforts that you've had. But you need to prioritize not only the best version of you, but the honest version of you, because spending time lying to yourself and to everybody else is just not worth it, really. And maybe lying is not the best word to describe this, but mainly just like hiding it away from yourself, even though you know it's true to you. It will allow you to be a freer version of yourself and a more explorative version of yourself. And it comes with sacrifices of people not understanding your point of view and just outwardly hating it. But sometimes when I'm met with that criticism, I tend to be less hurt by it, as opposed to stuff that I was just kind of faking. If it's something that I'm faking, something deep within me just like struggles with it. But for example, when I started to post more gender non-conforming online, I would get unsavory comments from people I don't care about and won't care about. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever, you can think whatever, dude. You can be transphobic in my comment section, because it's whatever. I don't care about your judgment in this realm. Spending more time with people I love. Just spending more time attending all of these parties, doing all of these awesome things, instead of being locked in my fucking room. Not being more truthful and not more authentic with how I present myself, how I think. I do feel regretful about all of the time wasted. I did not speak my mind, and I had to speak in like very, abstract language about very fundamental things and about very simple things. I feel like my regret is kind of on a similar wavelength, just a little bit deeper. For me, that's more about comfort in my body. I recently discovered that you can see me with a beard here, but I felt ambiguous about it at the time, and recently I've started to shave more, my facial hair and my body hair. I felt more like myself, though now I'm a little bit tired and my voice have been fluctuating from a little bit lower to a little bit higher. I have been doing a little bit of voice training to put my voice in a different place in my body, for it to be more like gender ambiguous on whatever level I can make it. So I am still figuring this out. I've procrastinated applying to things for a very long time in terms of representation, agencies, acting gigs, jobs, small projects, big projects, where I was very focused on the specific way of discovering those opportunities and way of things coming my way, where I had the limitation of like, oh, I need to, like, at this stage I need to become much of an artist before taking that leap of faith, where at this point I had realized that not that it did not matter and it did increase my portfolio, but it's just like you can still take those leaps of faiths in applying for more like high stake things and becoming comfortable with putting yourself out there, not only on the internet, but maybe in a more high stakes environments where you are being more explicitly judged? Would you rather take that leap of faith and see whether they trust the version of you that's the most authentic and is not a projection of the things of how you want them to see you? Because at the end of the day, do you really want to appear as a half person to the people you care about? For some people, that's a no. And it's a completely understandable no. And some people are living with a different value system. Especially in this world, you want to prioritize some things about safety, but it's also about, are you willing to continue existing in that way? And for how long are you going to be able to sustain that? My girlfriend, I love her a lot. My wife. Hi. Hello. Work smarter, not harder, but also be around the people you love. Aww.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about my wife. Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact...
Oh. Mwah. Fine. Mwah. Are there any places that you would like to travel to the near future?
Oh, I've never really been to South America, Brazil, Chile. I've never actually been to Mexico. I would like to go to Mexico.
That'd be fun.
I don't want to be like in the place where the tourists are,
Yeah.
unless we're in CDMX, where
Yeah.
like they just inherently there are like a lot of like tourists there, because it's the capital. Oh, I've never been to Australia and New Zealand. That's where we really want to go, to Oceania.
That sounds
Maybe
fun.
some islands in Oceania. The Philippines sounds interesting. Taiwan.
Oh, Taiwan
And
is fun.
China.
How do you want to be remembered?
Holy shit. Okay. Quite a self-indulgent answer, but I want to be remembered having had an impact on a certain part of culture. I'm not thinking about like Michael Jackson
No.
level, but like something that is meaningful to a particular community, and to have enough of an impact to be discussed in a history of that particular topic.
Hell yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to be, you know, your next Madonna or next...
It'll be nice if you are.
I mean, it would be
Yes,
nice.
it'd be nice.
But is it like the goal for me? I mean, it would be nice, but that's more of a question of popularity as opposed to having genuine positive difference in people's lives. On a more personal scale, I would like to be remembered a person who made their choices with empathy, unless they've met somebody who was not empathetic to them.
Like respect is earned, not given type.
I think that's what kind of I would like to be remembered as. Yeah.
Hell yeah. What is a skill that you don't have yet that you would like to learn?
Ooh, learning piano would be cool. Learning Ukrainian is one of the things that I've mentioned prior. Another thing that would be nice is to learn how to write for TV and film. I'm kind of doing it now, but I want to delve deeper into that. And yeah, I think those are like my top three
Yeah.
that come to mind. Yeah, because like I can list
You can list
the
a lot.
things that I want to learn, but like I will stop on these three things that
Because
come
those
to
are
mind
those
first.
are likely the most like impactful and realistic that will happen.
Yeah, I
Alright.
love you so much.
I love you.
Mwah. Mwah.
I love you. Oh,
Mwah.
mwah.
I love you so much.
You're the best.
Mwah.
Oh,
You're the best.
mwah.
I'll finish up, okay?
Alright. Sounds good to me.
Get yourself a wife like that, fellas. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I am 22, going on 23. I think that's gonna be a wrap for this year. Thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you for being so cool. Subscribe. Feel free to listen to my music. Feel free to watch my other videos. I'll see you next year. I guess I'll see you in a year. Bye.